Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nancy Schriber, and I'm the chair of the Maricopa County Democratic Party. I have been joined today by Cinthia, Estela, and Yassamin Ansari, who are running in the March 9th runoff election in City Council District 7. We encourage you to take a moment to listen to our candidates and make sure you have a plan to vote. Here are some important dates. A sample ballot pamphlet will be mailed on February 1st. The last date to register to vote is February 8th. Early voting begins and early ballots are mailed on February 10th. And election day is Tuesday, March 9th. We are pre-taping these conversations so we can make them widely available on our MCDP social media platforms and the MCDP YouTube channel. Yassamin, thank you for being here today. Let's start by having you take a few minutes to tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Yassamin Ansari. I'm running for the Phoenix City Council to represent District 7. I was raised right here in Arizona. I'm the proud product of our public schools. I am the daughter of two immigrants who taught me from a very young age the importance of civic engagement. I later went to Stanford University and studied international relations, and I have spent pretty much all of my career working on the issue of climate change and tackling the climate crisis, most recently as a senior advisor at the United Nations. Most importantly, though, I am a proud resident of District 7. Over the past year, I have personally connected with tens of thousands of District 7 residents through knocking on doors and calling residents, and really have gotten a wonderful perspective of all of the diverse and vast issues in the district. And this has been the source of inspiration that I have to fight for District 7 each and every day. During my campaign, and especially when elected, I will continue meeting with our neighbors, listening to their stories and their struggles and life experiences, and collaborating with them to ensure that we're really co-creating solutions that work for our community. As your councilwoman, this will be my full-time job if elected, which will ensure that I am fully connected, fully transparent, and accessible to every single constituent in my district, whether they are a voter or not, every single day. And I'm really excited for that opportunity and really hope to count on the support of District 7 residents in this race.
What are your top 3 priorities or issues, and what is your plan for addressing them?
So I would say my top 3 priorities when elected is first to ensure that we help lead Phoenix safely out of the pandemic. Second is to tackle the affordable housing crisis in Phoenix. And third is to combat the climate crisis. But since I know there's questions later on in this forum specifically about housing and climate, I want to use this opportunity to talk about some of the initiatives I hope to work on in regards to COVID. At City Hall, I want to make sure first and foremost that I'm doing everything I can to enhance access to both testing and vaccinations for District 7 residents to ensure that testing and vaccinations are affordable and accessible and distributed equitably across the district. Second, I want to work to provide rent and utility relief to families. One of the number one things that comes up at the doors in the district is just the inability to pay bills. People have lost jobs, people are struggling. And really, the city has been providing some really fantastic resources through the CARES Act funding that's come in from the federal administration. We expect to see more of that now with the Biden administration. So I want to make sure that as much of that as possible is getting to District 7 residents and supporting them in any way possible. Thirdly, our small businesses have been hit quite deeply by the pandemic. I think there's a study that showed that 30% of small businesses in Phoenix might not survive the pandemic. So protecting small businesses, helping them both with financial support, but also operational support to ensure that they can continue operating safely, keeping their workers safe and keeping customers safe so we can come out of this on the other side. And fourth, I would say, is helping to address the digital divide. District 7 suffers from slower internet access and lack of access to, some of the technology that's needed to do school from home, for example. So I'm looking forward to working within my district to make sure that we get the people who need it, laptops, faster internet speeds, et cetera.
As our our next Phoenix City Councilwoman, how will you work with the district and other local officials to ensure we are addressing issues of gentrification, housing affordability, and food insecurity impacting District 7 and public schools?
I think that in general, I think what's important to note about my leadership style is I'm someone who very much believes in having ongoing conversations and collaborations with all stakeholders. So first and foremost, I've been working for the past year and a half to build very strong relationships with the other council members who currently serve, the Mayor Gallego. So I'm feeling confident that I can work with them to really get things done. And similarly with community members, community leaders, organizations, I believe in participatory government. And I think especially when you're representing a district as large as District 7, that encompasses Levine and Maryvale and South Phoenix and Estrella and downtown, it's really important to keep that organizing momentum up. So definitely by going door to door, even when I'm not running for office, to organize around different issues and solutions is going to be a top priority. I want to give one specific example. I know you brought up 4 different issues in this question, but when it comes to food insecurity, for example, I'm really excited to work with partners who have put together the 2025 Food Action Plan for Phoenix. It's a really, really great start because District 7 in particular, suffers from food deserts and food insecurity. And there's many people, again, at the doors who talk about lack of access to fresh food. Secondly, I very much support the creation of community gardens. I think that this is imperative to make sure that District 7 residents can participate in growing their own healthy foods. I'm very thankful to organizations in our community that are working through mutual aid and working to establish community gardens. It's amazing. So I'm really excited to keep supporting that. And third, I will advocate, like I will in all areas, for a community-centered approach that empowers neighborhoods to develop how they want to and to pass policies to determine healthy food access, including by expanding green spaces.
How will you hold the Phoenix Police Department accountable?
That's a great question. I'll start by saying that, I really truly believe, I think that every single person, this is an obvious statement, but every single person in our community and in our city deserves the right to feel safe. Since the beginning of the campaign, like I said, I've knocked on tens of thousands of doors across the district. And I do frequently hear, from residents, especially in South Phoenix, Maryvale, Levine, they worry about public safety. They want faster public safety response times and stronger trust between the police department and the community. So one of the positions that I've been talking about within our campaign specific to those areas specifically is bringing substations and stations to the communities that currently lack them. That being said, like all professionals and like all professions, police officers must also take responsibility for any wrongdoings that happen on their parts. In much the same way that we hold doctors or surgeons or anyone who has, any sort of responsibility to deal with a human life, we also have to hold our police department accountable. This is why I am in favor of an Office of Accountability and Transparency. I believe it's a very critical tool. It's used by hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement agencies across the United States. We're actually the only large city in the top 10 largest cities in the United States that doesn't have any form of really tangible civilian oversight. And I truly believe that the research shows that having accountability in this regard will really serve to help deepen that trust between law enforcement and the community. And I think if we really want to be, Phoenix, we want to be a national leader on every issue, right? We want to be a model. And I think this is another area where improving our police department should be something we're striving to do. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to working on this issue as well. I have the utmost respect for law enforcement and the work that they do. But I also want to make sure that every member of our community feels safe. So again, I really hope to be a bridge builder in this regard and bring everyone to the table to be able to come to a solution around accountability and transparency.
The lack of affordable housing is a serious issue, especially in District 7. What would you like to see the city do to improve access to housing and temporary shelter for all? And what is your opinion on the city's current strategies for serving the homeless population and providing affordable housing?
This is a great question, and very much touches on a cornerstone of our platform. I think having a roof over your head is a necessity, not a luxury. And our district really needs a champion who will fight for affordable housing. So there are four main things that I have outlined in my platform when it comes to affordable housing and addressing homelessness. First, I believe we need to expand tenant protections and dedicate resources for families facing evictions, especially right now during the pandemic. Second, a big part of the job of being a city councilwoman is working with developers. So I intend to work with developers to guarantee that new development projects in our city include housing units for residents earning lower minimum wages. I believe that we should have a community where you have teachers and firefighters and electricians and carpenters and entrepreneurs all being able to live within the same block and all being able to afford to live within the same community. Third, I believe that we need to really streamline the process to provide affordable housing. So talking about less red tape, looking at models like housing first plans. So I've been speaking with a lot of experts on affordable housing, and really it's this permanent housing that is what they say could be, a good solution to address some of these issues. And fourth, I think, obviously is addressing homelessness to make sure that we get people housing to the extent possible, get people out of the zone and make sure that people have a safe place to be. So I know that there's been, the recent votes on expanding shelter beds, which I think is a good start, but ultimately we really do need a regional solution to get us out of this crisis. As it currently stands, District 7 suffers the worst of the housing crisis, and our neighbors have been disproportionately impacted by the recent rise of homelessness. So part of my plan for remedying this is, again, to push for a regional solution, equitable distribution of shelters across the city of Phoenix and across the state of Arizona. I also believe in smaller, more specialized facilities, facilities for folks dealing with mental health issues, for veterans, for older folks. There's just such complexity to this problem that I don't think we can rely on mega shelters for being the solution. I also just want to add really quickly, it is very encouraging that the city of Phoenix just did pass last October a new plan with a set of strategies around addressing homelessness and expanding affordable housing in the city of Phoenix. I think a huge part of my role and when I would be stepping in would be to make sure that we make those the points outlined in there as specific as possible, with set deadlines, with funding mechanisms. So that's something that I'm excited to really get in there and dive in deep and make sure this all happens.
Getting warmer all year and hotter in the summer, what can be done to address climate change and make Phoenix livable for years to come?
Well, I'm so glad you asked this question because this is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. For those who have heard me speak before, one of the main reasons I decided to run for city government in particular is because of the work that I've done throughout my career, working with cities around the United States and around the world to address the climate crisis. So I firmly believe that cities are where it's at when it comes to addressing climate change. And Phoenix, we are on the front lines of the climate crisis. We have some of the worst air pollution in the country. It's concentrated within District 7, specifically in South Phoenix, where we have a lot of industrial waste. And it's devastating to the health of our community. In addition, it's obviously getting hotter and hotter. We have drought, we have wildfires, and I think there's a significant amount of steps we can take to truly become a national leader on this issue. So for those who don't know, Phoenix right now is going through a process to revamp its climate action plan. The plan was first put out in 2009, and because Mayor Gallego is part of a coalition of mayors called the C40 who are committed to combating the climate crisis, we are now revising the plan. So I'm very excited to step in April, make sure this plan is very ambitious when it comes to our 2030 targets, 2040, 2050. But specifically, I am very excited to work on the issues of transportation and infrastructure because those are the two areas that cause the most greenhouse gas emissions and affect our clean air and water the most. So when it comes to transportation, obviously a big supporter of light rail. Another thing that I hope to work on is making more ambitious deadlines for when the city's own bus fleet will transition to being entirely electric. And then on top of that, something new and innovative that I hope to really lead on when elected is how can we make electric vehicles more affordable and accessible to working families? I think, in Phoenix, most people have a car. I hope more people start using public transportation. I will fight to make the city more walkable, more bikeable. But we also need to take fossil fuel vehicles off the road to improve our air quality. So looking forward to hopefully partnering with the federal government to get funding, to potentially provide incentives for folks to purchase electric vehicles, to add more infrastructure to our own public parks, to our city-owned buildings, et cetera. I also want to work on investing in clean and renewable energy when it comes to our buildings. So again, working with developers when new projects are coming in, let's ensure that those new projects are powered by 100% clean energy. Let's create new jobs in Phoenix by retrofitting our existing buildings that are causing a significant amount of pollution. I mean, there's just so much that our city can be doing. We can be a leader, not only in addressing the climate crisis nationally, but really to clean up our own air and water and make significant health improvements for our own community members. So I'm definitely very excited to get to work there. There's so much to do, so much opportunity, but really I look at it as an opportunity. We really have an opportunity to make a big impact here and improve our city for the best.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Is there anything else you would like to share with those watching?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you so much for hosting this forum. I really appreciate the opportunity. I think the main message I want to hone in, is that everyone, who has lived in District 7 or who has done any research knows that District 7, unfortunately, has been left behind for many years. We have the least number of our roads repaved. We have some of the worst air pollution in the city. We have some of the highest rates of crime in the city and lack of investment. And I think that it's incredibly important for the person stepping into this role to have the experience to do the job and also the dedication to really do the job. And that's why I've committed to being a full-time councilwoman to really make sure that the 200,000 residents of District 7 are getting the representation they deserve. We've had a part-time council member for the past 12 years, and I think it's time for a significant change in that regard. And I'm excited for being full-time. I'm also proud to announce that since the election, we have received truly an outpouring of support for our campaign. So in addition to endorsements from Mayor Gallego and Congressman Greg Stanton, Congressman Ruben Gallego, since the election, we've been endorsed by newly elected Arizona Corporation Commissioner Anna Tovar, former County Supervisor Mary Rose Wilcox, state legislators like Cesar Chavez, Tony Navarrete, Richard Andrade, community leaders like Pastor Warren Stewart Jr., Jennifer Rouse, Tommy Espinoza, Danny Ortega. So a significant amount of support, which is very exciting. We've also been endorsed by the Phoenix firefighters and paramedics, as well as pretty much every labor union that's fighting for working families, from UFCW to Unite Here, to AFSCME, LIUNA, the electricians. So I'm very excited to work with them and really make sure that at City Hall I'm being the best possible champion for working families. Every day of this campaign, we're continuing to knock on doors. We have a team of about 20 people knocking on doors every day in big volunteer events. So for anyone watching this, please join us. We would love to have you as part of our campaign to really build a more equitable, inclusive, and sustainable Phoenix. And this seat is very important. It's the fifth, progressive seat on the council. And I think, really exciting opportunity to make some big changes and make the city a better place for all of us. So thank you again. I'm excited to be here.
Cinthia, thank you for being here today. Let's start by having you take a few minutes to tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Yo soy Cinthia Estela, soy la candidata del Distrito 7 para el consular de la ciudad de Phoenix. Yo soy la única latina que está corriendo para este espacio. Es mi gran honor poder tener su apoyo en marzo 9. Yo entiendo sus preocupaciones, yo entiendo sus valores y siempre voy a estar aquí para poder cuidar a nuestra comunidad. Thank you guys so much for having me here. My name is Estela and I am the candidate for District 7. I am a mother. I'm a daughter of immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself. I lived in the district going on 17 years. I've been very active within my community for the last 17 years, and I am ready to serve our community. And I also want to thank our community for making me the top vote getter in November.
What are your top 3 priorities or issues, and what is your plan for addressing them?
My top 3 priorities are economic development, infrastructure, and public safety. Advocating for high-paying jobs, workforce housing along the 202 corridor, because it's going to be our high-tech corridor. And starting from Estrella to Laveen to downtown Phoenix to Maryvale to South Phoenix, we want to make sure we have workforce housing for all. I was a young homeowner at 19 years old, and I want to make sure that everybody's able to achieve that dream. That, of course, is an American dream. And make sure that we have safe communities and support our police and our fire department. We are the #1 most growing city in the nation, and we should definitely feel safe. And our response times keep getting worse and worse. We're about 500 officers short, so we want to make sure that we're fully staffed. I also want to make sure during this pandemic that we have a COVID relief and resources, especially in the most impacted areas like South Phoenix and Maryville. I want to make sure that the testing centers aren't just in the morning, but also in the evening. We have a community that works 2 to 3 jobs to be able to put food on the table, and we want to make sure that we have accessible to all.
As our next Phoenix City Councilwoman, how will you work with the district and other local officials to ensure we are addressing issues of gentrification, housing affordability, and food insecurity impacting District 7 and public schools?
I have knocked on 15,000 doors throughout my district. I've been meeting with different groups like the Southwest Extension. I will be very supportive of our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I will also be very supportive of our 2050 healthy food system goals. My team and I have been working every other weekend with Fresh Food Collaboration to be able to pass out fresh food boxes throughout our district. I will make sure that we build a lot of affordable housing throughout the 202 corridor, and of course, along our brand new light rail in South Phoenix.
How will you hold the Phoenix Police Department accountable?
I want to start out by saying that I am a mother of 2 children, half Peruvian and half African American. So if anybody believes in transparency and accountability, it's me. I have knocked on 15,000 doors, and it doesn't matter if I'm in Estrella, Maryville, Laveen, South Phoenix, or downtown Phoenix. The thing that I hear the most is that everybody wants public safety. Everybody wants more police patrolling. I believe that currently, right now, we have 3 boards currently with the city of Phoenix, and we need to invest to improve these structures. We need more diversity on these boards. Currently, right now, we only have 2 Latinos and 2 African Americans serving on these boards. We need more transparency. Council needs to have a larger role in selecting who is participating on these boards.
Homelessness and a lack of affordable housing is a serious issue, especially in District 7. What would you like to see the city do to improve access to housing and temporary shelter for all? And what is your opinion on the city's current strategies for serving the homeless population and providing affordable housing?
I believe housing is a fundamental human right. I also support the homeless strategy plan that the city's created. I believe that we need to create smaller shelters throughout the city and throughout our region to be able to serve as a wraparound specified needs to our community. I do believe that we should use St. Luke's Hospital as a place of shelter. We need to also work with our nonprofits as UMOM and Phoenix Rescue Mission. We should build better partnerships with them and providing those proper tools for our community.
Phoenix is getting warmer all year and hotter in the summer. What can be done to address climate change and make Phoenix livable for years to come?
I support the city's tree shade plan. I would be a big advocate to expand that. I further believe that this is our time to really support our public transportation, add some more bus routes, especially in Estrella Village, that we are actually having a shortage. People are waiting up to 45 minutes to be able to catch a bus. This is our time to really use our light rail. So really focus on this, and maybe even replacing our fleet with hybrid vehicles or electric vehicles. Another thing that is that I will be a big advocate for is our solar use. I was actually in the forefront when solar panels were trying to be taken away from Arizona. I know how important it is. We are the Valley of the Sun after all, so we should take full advantage of what we're already provided.
Thank you for joining us today. Is there anything else you would like to share with those watching?
There are many issues that need to be addressed throughout my district, and I would devote 100% of my time. During this pandemic, many of us are facing homeschooling our children and making sure that we have food on our tables to feed our families. From Estrella to downtown Phoenix, we have different things that are facing challenges throughout the district. So Estrella, 91st Avenue and 99th Avenue need to be repaved. Buckeye and Broadway Road need to be expanded. We need more grocery stores and gas stations there. Stop our illegal dumping. I'll make sure I take care of that in Estrella. Maryville, 67th Avenue and Thomas. Every corner house has been hit by a speeding vehicle. We need our public safety officers there, and we need to make sure that I support our block watches, and I will do so. Levine, my beautiful Levine. Our gorgeous 202. We need to make sure that I will work with the Economic Development Department to make sure that we bring great paying jobs in our high-tech corridor, bring our sit-down restaurants that we desperately want, and make sure that we build these affordable housing, because everybody deserves to be able to own a home. In South Phoenix, we need to support all the businesses alongside the light rail. Make sure that that area of land that the city of Phoenix owns, again, we for workforce housing, to work with the Southwest Extension Group and all the community groups in South Phoenix to be able to achieve of what they deserve most. Nobody should be displaced or moved out of their own area where they grew up. Downtown Phoenix. Oh, downtown Phoenix. I love it. It has a character of its own. Really support Hans Park master plan. I mean, after all, in 30 years, it will be $6.6 billion in revenue that will bring to our city. We deserve a destination point. I mean, we're the 5th largest city in the nation. We also deserve a continuous bike path. That's going to be important to me. And all those vacant lots, build some affordable housing for our community. Make sure that I understand all the community's needs at all time. Y claro, yo siempre voy a estar aquí porque yo soy parte de esta comunidad. I am District 7, and I look forward to being your next councilwoman in March. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you again, Cinthia, for joining me. Best of luck with your race.
I appreciate it. Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes. Bye-bye.
Bye.